Outset, I would like to offer my humble pranams at the lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagwan. Sai Ram and greetings from Prashanti Nilayam. When I broke off last time, I had come up to the point where Ravana had just received the news that his dear son Indrajit, thought to be invincible, had actually been killed in battle. Ravana was now both furious and also feeling quite helpless. Looking for some way to vent his frustrations, he decided to confront Sita and rushed to Ashokavana, accompanied by his principal spouse Mandodari, who herself was distraught by the loss of her son. Frightened by the arrival of the Rakshasa group headed by Ravana, Sita began to fear the worst, wondering, is he at last going to kill me? I heard a big roar some time ago that appeared to come from the battlefield. Was that roar a sign of Rakshasa victory? And is this ogre coming here to celebrate the triumph of evil? Or was that roar a sign that Rama and Lakshmana scored great successes? And it is utter frustration that brings Ravana here in the foulest of moods. When Hanuman came here, he so kindly offered to rescue me. How foolish of me it was to refuse that offer. How much suffering does fate inflict on all of us? Woe be to that vile hunchback Manthara who started it all. Seeing Sita in a pitiable state, a kind-hearted minister of Ravana named Suparchava said to Ravana, O monarch, you have studied the Vedas and have meticulously observed the austerities demanded of an Agnihotri, a worshipper of the sacred fire. How then can you, casting righteousness to the winds, succumb to anger and think of killing Sita? I submit that you should not harm Sita in any manner. Instead, you should vent your wrath on Rama. Accepting the advice, Ravana immediately withdrew from Ashokavana. As a prelude to taking on Rama personally, Ravana then ordered his army to launch a furious attack on the enemy. The attack was, however, repulsed by a mighty counterattack led by Rama himself. And in no time at all, huge segments of Ravana's army got totally wiped out. When the news of the utter rout suffered by his forces reached Ravana, he decided to enter the battle personally. Mobilizing more forces, he got into his chariot after first packing it with a stunning variety of amazingly powerful weapons. However, even as he entered the battlefield, he saw ominous signs. It was clearly the first phase of the war, and as if to confirm it, the remaining commanders of Ravana began to fall one by one. The first to go was Virupaksha, who met death at the hands of Sugriva. Mahodara too was felled by Sugriva, while Mahaparshva succumbed to Angada. At long last, Ravana and Rama faced each other once more. A fierce battle ensued in which Rama directly battled with Ravana, while Lakshmana and Vibhishana lent support by attacking the chariot and the charioteer. Angered by the fact that his very brother was fighting against him, Ravana then aimed a powerful missile towards Vibhishana. However, by launching a counterattack, Lakshmana destroyed Ravana's missile in flight. Enraged, Ravana now attacked Lakshmana with an even more powerful weapon. The missile employed was so powerful that any person other than Lakshmana would have been wiped out completely. Lakshmana, however, escaped death, though he was badly wounded. Stunned to see his brother in deep trouble, Rama rushed to Lakshmana's help and pulled out the javelin that had pierced his body. Turning then to Sugriva and Hanuman, Rama said, I swear to you that before long you shall see that Ravana is eliminated from the face of this earth. Indeed, you will see him dead before this day ends. Without wasting as much as a second, Rama instantly followed up by unleashing such a furious onslaught that Ravana took to his heels. Returning to Lakshmana's side, Rama now began to worry whether Lakshmana would survive. Comforting Rama, a Vanara named Sushena assured him that Lakshmana could be and indeed shall be revived. Turning then to Hanuman, Sushena said, Go back to the mountain you went to earlier. There, on its southern peak, you would find the herbs Vishalya Karni, Savarnya Karni, Sanjeeva Karni, and Samdhani, each of which has its own miraculous healing property. Bring them as quickly as you can, because they are all urgently needed for reviving Lakshmana. Hanuman departed immediately, and on reaching the said mountain, did not spend time looking for the herbs asked for. Instead, he plucked the entire mountain peak and flew back in a trice. Even as the Vanaras loudly applauded Hanuman for his amazing feat, Sushena swiftly revived Lakshmana, after which Rama folded Lakshmana in a long and loving embrace. He then said, Lakshmana, you do not know how happy I am to see you come back literally from the jaws of death. Without you, my victory over Ravana and the rescue of Sita would have no meaning. Deeply moved, Lakshmana responded, Most revered brother, how can you ever utter such words that are only spoken by one who is in despair? Have you forgotten that apart from rescuing Sita, you have too, as per your promise, crowned Vibhishana as the king of Lanka? And what about your vow to annihilate Ravana? This is not the time to get into a diffident mood. Rather, you must without any further delay attend to the task of killing Ravana before sundown. Attention restored to the present, Rama plunged once more into battle against Ravana. Watching from heaven above, the Devas and the other denizens of the celestial world noticed that while Rama was fighting standing on the ground, Ravana was waging war seated in a luxurious and elaborately fitted chariot. Indra then summoned his chariot, Matali, and ordered him to take his, that is Indra's personal chariot, go down to earth and pray to Rama to use it as his vehicle, an offer which Rama readily accepted. A fierce battle then raged, watched by Devas, Rishis, etc., all of whom had assembled in large numbers to witness the ultimate triumph of good over evil. Meanwhile, even as he showered deadly arrows, Rama repeatedly taunted Ravana as a coward who kidnapped a lonely woman while her husband was away. This naturally infuriated Ravana enormously, and as his anger grew, his concentration suffered correspondingly. Seeing his master in grave danger, Ravana's charioteer then turned the chariot towards Lanka in an attempt to sneak away. Misreading his charioteer's intent and interpreting it as an insult, Ravana chided his charioteer and asked him to drive back to the battlefield. During the brief absence of Ravana from the battlefield, Rama, who was also quite exhausted, stood in silence, lost in deep contemplation. At this stage, sage Agastya, who was one of the spectators, came to Rama and said, O Rama, I know fully about the concerns you are having. Right now, what you must do is to chant this most sacred prayer I am about to teach you. It is addressed to the sun god, Surya, from whom everything on earth derives its power and strength. When you chant this prayer, you would be able to access the enormous power already latent in you. Once that power is tapped, victory over Ravana would follow swiftly. Rama respectfully followed Agastya's instructions and immediately felt fully charged. Climbing back into the chariot sent by Indra, Rama then instructed the chariot to go where Ravana was. Fierce fighting resumed, the like of which had never been witnessed before. Cheered lustily by the rishis, the devas, and all the other celestial beings who had gathered to see the Lord triumph, Rama slowly began to gain the upper hand. Finally, Rama drew from his quiver a highly potent arrow personally given to him by sage Agastya. Mounting that arrow in his bow, Rama then chanted the mantras needed for specially empowering the arrow. And when Rama shot that highly potent arrow, it found its mark without fail, pierced Ravana's heart, and killed him instantly. Even as Ravana's lifeless body crashed to the ground, mission accomplished, the arrow returned like a humble servant to Rama, re-entering the quiver from where it had been withdrawn earlier. Digressing for a moment to reflect on sage Agastya teaching Rama a special mantra, it might be mentioned that this is yet another of those instances where Rama plays the role of a regular human, totally setting aside the fact that verily he was divinity personified. For his part, Agastya, who knew that Rama was an incarnation of the Lord, nevertheless taught Rama the mantra as a part of the larger divine drama, as sage Vishwamitra did earlier. The real meaning of this incident is that when humans are confronted with great difficulties, the best way of overcoming them is to think of God, pray fervently to Him, and invoke the power that is truly His but latent within us. At the purely scientific level, the sun is merely one of billions of stars in the sky that shines because of the burning of nuclear fuel in its core. Yet, without the power that the sun continuously radiates into the solar system, life cannot subsist on Earth. The point is that even seemingly material entities in creation play a role that is part of a larger divine master plan, and in that sense, not only must we be deeply conscious of the strong interconnections throughout the cosmos, but also appreciative of the fact that behind every manifest entity in creation, whether inanimate or animate, there lies hidden the infinite power of God. The best way, therefore, to navigate through life and its myriad of problems is to always stay connected with that supreme power, one way of achieving which is via fervent prayer. Returning to the narration of the events on the battlefield, at last the epic saga was over, Rama having exterminated Ravana, proclaiming thereby the triumph of good over evil. While everyone on Rama's side was rejoicing, Vibhishana silently walked over to the fallen body of his brother. Seeing Ravana lying there lifeless, suddenly he began to see in Ravana a dear brother rather than an evil monster. Overcome with grief, he wailed and lamented that in spite of his strength, achievements and triumphs, Ravana had to meet a pitiable fate. Commenting on this, Rama said, Ravana died not because he lacked strength. He died for the good of the world in the sense that the terror that he struck in the three worlds now comes to an end. Moreover, the scriptures clearly declare that a warrior killed in action should not be mourned. Vibhishana, you must move on, and the focus now is on what is to be done next. Vibhishana replied, Rama, this demon is a curious mixture of power and weakness, good and evil. Hitherto he was always victorious, but today he has been routed by you, even as the seashore breaks up the mightiest of waves when they reach the edge. Evil Ravana might have been, but at the same time, he was generous to his friends, protected his people, and meticulous in practicing religious austerities. He was in fact an Agnihotri, a pious worshipper of the sacred fire. I am quite confused at this point as to what my duties and obligations are, since I broke away from Ravana and came over to your side, thus becoming his enemy. Please tell me, what exactly should I do? And I shall forthwith execute your command. To this Rama replied, Vibhishana, know it to be true that animosity ends with death. Our purpose has been achieved, and as the sole survivor of the family, particularly as the younger brother, it is now your bounden duty to perform the last rites for Ravana in the manner prescribed. Attend to it quickly. When the news of Ravana's death reached his palace, all his consorts rushed to the battlefield and crowded round his lifeless body as they wailed and lamented loudly. The mourners included Mandodari, the senior most among Ravana's queens. Giving vent to her sorrow, she cried, O mighty one, no one thought you could ever be vanquished, and that too by a human. Yet here you now lie, lifeless, slain by one whom you thought was a mere human. Truly speaking, no human could ever kill you. If, however, you have been today destroyed by Rama, it only means that Rama is none other than Lord Vishnu come in human form. How many times have I warned you not to tangle with Rama? However, destiny will that you shall not heed to my advice. Vibhishana understood the difference between good and evil and wisely sought refuge under Rama. That is why he is alive today, while you ignored that very same difference and have now been reduced to a lifeless corpse. My life has been totally shattered. First, Lakshmana killed my son Indrajit, and today I have lost you to Rama's arrow. All this has not happened without a reason, and that reason, I am ashamed to admit, is your cowardice. Was it not cowardly on your part to trick Rama to go hunting and then abduct Sita after posing as a sadhu? How many times were you advised to do what is right and avoid what is evil? And yet, bent upon destroying yourself, you are drawn to evil, even as the moth feels compelled to fly into the flame. While Mandodari was wailing thus, Rama said to Vibhishana, It is time to move on. Get started on the funeral rites and also console the women folk. However, Vibhishana was now beginning to have second thoughts about performing the funeral rites of Ravana. Said, Rama, I find it difficult to perform the funeral of one who totally abandoned virtue. Intent on harming everyone, he was, though a brother by blood, actually my enemy. How can I perform the funeral of my enemy? With much love and understanding, Rama replied, Vibhishana, I fully appreciate how you feel. Nevertheless, as I said earlier, death wipes out all enmity. Ravana has now passed into eternity, and now he is yours as well as mine. Think of him as just your elder brother and perform all the rites due. The world would applaud you for that. Vibhishana did just that, and after completing all the scriptural rites, consigned Ravana's body to the flames, fueled by choice wood including sandalwood. He then consoled all the grieving ladies, begging them to return to the palace. Having taken care of those duties, Vibhishana rejoined Rama and his army. The long war with Ravana being finally over, everyone was now feeling relaxed. There were, however, other items to be attended to, like consecrating Vibhishana as the new ruler of Lanka, a task which was assigned by Rama to Lakshmana. As a prelude to that, Lakshmana asked a number of Vanaras to go to the seashore and fetch sea water in jars. When they returned, Lakshmana picked up one jar, made Vibhishana sit on a suitable seat, and chanted the mantras appropriate to the occasion, even as he sprinkled water on Vibhishana, consecrating him as the new ruler of Lanka. Thereafter, many others did the same, taking turns to pour water over the one being anointed. Acknowledging his deepest gratitude, Vibhishana expressed his eternal loyalty to Rama by ceremonially making appropriate offerings. The new ruler having been installed, Rama turned to Hanuman and said, "O brave one, taking the permission of the new ruler of Lanka, that is our dear Vibhishana, go and meet Sita and tell her about the destruction of Ravana and bring back to me her response." Ever ready to please Rama, Hanuman was by the side of Sita in no time at all, conveying the good news about Rama exterminating Ravana. Overwhelmed with both joy and relief, Sita remained speechless for quite a while, prompting Hanuman to ask, "Why this silence? Why don't you speak?" Tears streaming from her eyes and in a voice choked with emotion, Sita replied, "Hanuman, what can I say? This is the moment I have been dreaming of for so long. And when the news finally came, I was rendered speechless by relief as well as unbounded joy. Not all the wealth in the three worlds can equal in value the news that you have just given me." Sita then showered lavish praise on Hanuman for the critical role he played in the accomplishment of Rama's mission. Somewhat embarrassed by the credit given to him, Hanuman respectfully asked, "Mother, I have a request to make. During your captivity, so many of these cruel Rakshasis around here must have caused you pain in various ways. These vile beings should not be allowed to live after all they have done to you. Just give me a nod and I shall make short work of them." Flatly refusing to give her consent, Sita chided Hanuman. "The request you are making is unworthy of you. Know it to be true that noble souls show compassion towards sinners and the good alike, without any differentiation, including to those who might appear to deserve death." Admonished thus, Hanuman did not pursue his request and instead asked, "Mother, please give me a message for Rama and I shall deliver it at lightning speed." Sita's reply was short and pointed. She simply said, "Tell him that I long to see him." Replying, "Mother, that you certainly shall, and soon," Hanuman sped back to give the message. Upon hearing the message of Sita, Rama became thoughtful and then all of a sudden he began to shed tears. However, Rama soon pulled himself up. Taking a deep breath, he said to Vibhishana, "Please see to it that Sita is bathed, given good clothes to wear, anointed and decked with jewels. After that, bring her here. Let there be no delay." When Vibhishana conveyed Rama's wish to Sita, she replied, "I want to see him immediately. The bathing can wait." Taken aback, Vibhishana gently persuaded Sita to agree to what Rama wanted, which she then graciously conceded. Quickly complying with Rama's instruction, Sita, duly dressed and adorned with jewels, arrived where Rama was, carried in a palanquin. And even as she did, a huge crowd of Vanaras noisily welcomed her, pushing and pulling each other in order to catch a glimpse of her. By way of avoiding a stampede, Vibhishana, exercising his powers as the king, directed his security staff to control the rather unruly crowd, using force if necessary. Rama chided Vibhishana for doing that, reminding him that the Vanaras were his people and hence deserved to be treated better. Having reprimanded Vibhishana in support of the Vanaras, Rama then said, "I want Sita to alight from the palanquin and come towards me walking, so that all soldiers of our army can have a good look at the princess of Videha." Thereupon, Vibhishana respectfully conducted Sita to Rama's presence, even as Lakshmana and Hanuman became concerned by the tone of Rama's voice, which showed little evidence of the joy of reunion after a long and agonizing absence. When Sita stood in front of Rama, he said, "O blessed lady, today I have avenged the wrong done to me by an evil one through the foul act of your abduction. That it all started with my leaving you behind in the hut while going out to hunt was no doubt ordained by destiny. Nevertheless, I too was to blame, and today as a mortal, I have paid that debt by rescuing you. Of course, all this was made possible by the enormous help that I have received from Sugriva, Hanuman and Vibhishana. I did what I did in order to wipe out the stigma on our dynasty. No man belonging to a proud lineage as I do would be willing to take back a woman who has lived in the house of another man. My task ends with redeeming the honor of her family. For you, I am afraid there is no longer any place in my heart. You are therefore free to go wherever you please. Sita was absolutely stunned and shocked by this most unexpected turn of events, as indeed all present were. Who could ever imagine that what was universally expected to be a joyous reunion of two lost souls would take a dramatic and bitter twist like this? For a while, Sita just stood, allowing her torrent of tears to speak for her. When finally she found her voice, she said, with a mixture of intense sorrow, profound disappointment and deep anger, O mighty one, the words you have just spoken are not worthy of even a common man talking to an ordinary woman. Yet, you of such eminent lineage have so quickly dismissed my character and virtue, having perhaps in your mind the image of cheap and vulgar women. I swear to you that I was utterly helpless and that I was forcibly carried away by Ravana to Lanka. You sent Hanuman to seek me out and give me a message. If you distrust me, as you now say you do, then why did you not repudiate me even then? I would have immediately ended my life, and all the trouble of crossing the ocean as well as fighting a bloody war with innumerable casualties could have been avoided. You appear to have forgotten that my origin was not through the usual process of human procreation but divinely ordained. I am called Janaki merely because I was found by King Janaka in the ceremonial ground which he was preparing for a yajna. In rejecting me, you have not only forgotten my origin but also about my character and my chastity. Turning to Lakshmana, Sita said, An unjustifiable and a totally unwarranted slur has been cast on me, and I no longer wish to live with it. Please prepare a pyre and light it. Renounced as I have been by one to whom I have always remained faithful, I shall enter the fire in public, especially since my husband no longer has any faith in my virtues. For today, I shall stop here at this point. Quite possibly, the next talk would be the last, bringing this narration series to a close. Let's see whether I am actually able to do that. Thank you for being with me, and God bless. As always, with much love and reverence, I offer this talk to our most beloved Bhagwan, who is Rama come again, to lead us all in the path of virtue and goodness. Jai Sai Ram.